In Europe, housing co-ops manage over 27% of Poland's stock and about 17% in Sweden, quite a bit. They're member-owned, run themselves democratically, and keep monthly costs far below market rents, at least in most cases. Now, governments there back them with low-interest loans, tax breaks, and zoning perks. Here in Canada, we already see student co-ops at Waterloo Housing, over 1,300 members, and the largest co-op underway in Canada today is actually just in about Toronto. The development will yield 918 homes, including 612 affordable RGI, rent geared to income units. Now, with housing costs outpacing wages, the question I have tonight is, could co-ops be our future? And that's what we're exploring with Drew Toth, founder of Elevate Living. Drew, you're focusing on affordable housing, but specifically co-op housing. Why do you love co-op housing so much?
Well, I'll tell you, I think that right now, the most alarming thing for me is the cost of housing and living versus the average wage. And so, as much as people are focused on solutions right now, I just don't see it getting better anytime quick because it's just been a compilation of so many decisions over a long time. And so instead of focusing on, single family houses that we're building and selling at say $1 million or townhouses at 800,000, I think it's really important that we start working and looking at alternative solutions that are actually affordable and getting people into housing.
When you say co-op housing, you know, when you're speaking with people, it's maybe not something people hear all the time. What do
Yes.
they think of when you say co-op housing? Like, what's the reaction?
You know what? Because we've been focusing on this as a solution, it's one of the things that I've been asking people when I meet with them. And the predominant response, Sam, that I get is I get subsidized housing or, associated maybe with folks who are on ODSP or on Ontario Works.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you, because you brought it up in the housing affordability issue. I mean, these single family homes, these detached homes, typically like $1 million, $800,000. You, a single person cannot buy that. So
Yeah.
it's like, hey, get into a relationship and then you can buy a home. And then that opens up a whole other can of worms. One of the things I wanted to know from you was, in your view, what do you feel has led us
Mm.
to this issue? And I know it's a compound effect. I
Yeah.
know there's so many issues, but what has led us partially or primarily to this housing affordability crisis?
Yeah. One comment first: 66% of Canadians actually make less than $80,000 a year. And there's only 22% of Canadians that make over 100,000 a year. So exactly like you said, when you have a price tag of 1 million or 800,000, and the lion's share of our population making this amount of money, it's not working.
Yeah.
And so to go back to your question about why has it got to $1,800,000? Well, it's a compilation of many things. And so I can start breaking down those components and share that with you. I mean, land, if you look at the cost of land here in Niagara or an average house, I used to be able to buy a single house in Welland for like $100,000 back in 2016. And so we've had a surge of immigration affecting supply and demand. We've had a whole bunch of folks migrating from the GTA to Niagara because of affordability, again, taking up some of the supply, pushing up costs. We've had a massive increase in material, lumber, steel. All of our materials have gone up so much. And then let's talk about shortage of labor.
Right.
And so with a shortage of labor, price goes up. And then what we see as the cost of living goes up, as we all experienced, then people have to start charging more. If there's a limited amount of trades, well, they need to be paid more, to pay for their food and
Right.
pay for their housing. So they're raising their prices, and we're having price escalations
Let me ask
around
you
the
this
map.
question. We have about 20 seconds here, 30
Yeah.
seconds. I want to know this in practical terms. How does co-op housing differ from me just renting an apartment?
Yes.
What is the difference? I know you got about 30 seconds here.
Well, there's core differences, but the key is you get a share, and that share gives you the voting ownership and the right to rent that spot. And you can never be kicked out of there if you want to stay and live there forever.
Well, that definitely sounds attractive to, I can imagine, at least my generation. But we'll be right back, Drew. Stay tuned for more.